I am going to do a brief tutorial on how to build something in Vaadin. This is one of the little frameworks that I suggested for Java. We're going to build a little Wordle, not a complete Wordle, but a little Wordle just to give you an idea of how the whole thing could look. So as you can see, I'm starting here from the Vaadin website, and this is fine. Just go here and click Get Started. Okay, and it'll go quick flow, and it'll say, download the Vaadin project, da da da. Start here, starting a project, and then open Vaadin Start. And it will open up this little kind of get started setup here. This is really useful if you have like a template you want to work from. So if you know you want to build like an address form or something like that, then it's already pre-made for you, and that could be really useful. We don't need any of this. In fact, we just need an empty sheet of paper here, and the URL path is going to be none. The name of it is going to be Wordle. We're not going to use any template, and then the little icon. We don't need any icon, although we could do a little icon here of something, maybe of a fighter jet. Yeah, that's right. Let's do a fighter jet. We'll see what that looks like. Okay, and then we click download, and it is going to download that for us. Great. I am going to go ahead and show this in the Finder. We have here quite a few stuff. I'm going to put this in the directory where I normally put stuff, which is GitHub. And then I'm going to open it up here. Oh, looks like I was already messing around with it. So I'm just going to delete that, and I'm going to delete that now. I'm just going to call it Wordle Vaadin Demo. That's what I'm going to call it. Okay, and now what do I do? Now I need to go and open up IntelliJ IDEA, open the project. Okay, open up GitHub, Wordle Vaadin Demo. Just go to the directory, click Open. And here we go. It's going to start, if you look down here, it's going to index, it's going to do all this kind of crazy stuff. I mean, it's not really crazy, it all makes sense, but it does take a while. So I'm going to do my best to make this time productive. I might just cut out little snippets of it. But anyway, all this is the required framework for Vaadin. And believe it or not, having all this stuff makes making applications a lot easier. But there is a learning curve in learning all, not to be overwhelmed with all this. All right, so where we need to do is we need to go here to source, SRC, that stands for source. We have Java, example here, and then application, and this is the actual application file. So if we want to run something, this is where we would run it from. We would click here, go, and then run application, and this would be the first time we ran the application. It would kind of go through everything here. While that is doing its thing, while it's building, compiling, it's still probably pulling some dependencies. Let's go ahead and look at the resources here. Okay. No. Okay. It opened something up. That's perfectly normal. That's supposed to happen. But front-end development build has not yet finished. This takes a while. I really don't know why. I don't think it's supposed to take that long. But in the meantime, here's your applications under the Java source, and there's views. And in this case, we want the Wordle package, and it's called Wordle view. And here is really, this is where we're going to do our editing in this view. Okay, if I go here, it hasn't finished yet, but when it finishes, it will look amazing. So you can kind of see here. I'm gonna hide this for now because we really don't need it. We have, okay, yeah, go ahead, sure. We have, it contains an image called empty plant. which is a placeholder plant. The image size is 200 pixels, and this line here adds that image. Then there should be a H2, a heading 2, called this place intentionally left empty. And it's a place where you can grow your own UI, so user interface. And then these are both adding H2 and a paragraph. And these are references to HTML. So I realized that when we're making this, if you want to make a web app, it does pay off to have some knowledge of HTML and how web apps are structured, because this system kind of assumes you know how that works and makes it easier by letting you not actually do HTML but do Java instead. All that said, though, it does create its kind of it is another thing to worry about here. Now I know that it's finished because I go here and I sure enough see here's Wordle, here's that fighter jet, that's fun, and here's that empty plant, and it says this place intentionally left blank. It's a place where you can grow your UI, and you can see this is exactly what this is. Okay, just to give you an idea, if you click down here, run, you could see everything's finished. It says front end compiled successfully, and it took 32,840 milliseconds to start this whole thing up, or the previous thing. That is a long time. It shouldn't take that. The first time's the longest, although my computer does seem to have some problems with this. Whatever. Okay, let's get down to building our Wordle. So what would our Wordle require? Well, first of all, I'm probably just going to remove all this visible stuff here. Right, and I'll start with an H1 tag just called Wordle. Okay, now you see it has this this thing here. I can just import this class directly here, and up at the top it gets imported. Right, there's the H1 that I had, and here's these old imports that aren't used anymore. So you can do that, or you can, there's a little shortcut there. So if we run this again, it won't say this, it'll just say Wordle at the top, which is kind of useful, but it takes a while to rerun, so I'm going to add some stuff. All right, I'm going to add, before I add anything else, I want to add a place for the person to put in their guess. So place for user to input their guess. All right. I want it to be a text input field. So in Vaadin, I would go here back to maybe the Vaadin start. Yeah, back to this here. Start guide. And I could just go up here to the top of design system and components. And these are all the various components that Vaadin offers me. So I'd like to start with some kind of input field, and that input field should be, I don't know, a text input field. Okay, so this is too general. Let's see here if in alphabetical order. Oh, a text field, right? Yeah, something like this. It would just be a place for people to write text. So I'm going to click Show Code, and this is how I do it. I'm just going to grab all of this for now, copy it, or you can just click this little copy button here. Go back. I'm going to paste it in, and let's fix it up a little. Okay, firstly, it's red. So, you see it says here I can press this combination. That is option return. So if I just hover over and type on my keyboard option return, it will give me a choice of what to import. There's apparently 2 text fields, and we want the com Vaadin flow chart, right? The flow. Okay, text field. I don't want to call it text field. I want to call it guess field, right? That's much more descriptive. So, or guess input. So in order to rename it in a way where if I just rename it here, all these are going to turn red, right? Guess, right? And now I have to rename all of these. I'm going to undo this. And instead, what you should do is you should right-click and refactor here. Refactor, rename, and I'm going to call it guess input. All right, and that, beautiful. Okay, label street address. It's not street address. I'm going to do enter your guess, colon. Set value, this is if I want an initial value. So you see here, this comes with a pre-made value and it has this icon as well. So this is this line, set value. This is the little icon. And then this set clear button visible, I think it's this one here, this X, right? So I don't really need any of these things. So I am just going to delete those, and I'm just going to have a blank field text input, say enter your guess. Okay, now question is, what do I want to happen when it enters the guess? Well, I want it to check if the person guessed the right word. Okay, well, first of all, what is the right word? I'm going to go ahead and make an instance variable because we're working in Java with classes. So I'm going to make a private instance variable, and it's going to be the actual word that needs to be guessed. And for the moment, I am only going to hardwire it, hard code it, so to speak. It's going to be the word bunny, right? It's a 5-letter word. Why not? Okay, bunny. So I want it to check if the guess was bunny or contained the letters associated with bunny. So in order to do this, we have to go to guess input. And if you ever want to know what can be done, you just do dot, and here's a whole list of things that could be done here with this. So, okay, well, on, okay, maybe click, let's see here, add, let's see here, listener. Oh, okay, here we go. So, oh, no. See, I'm missing something, right? Because that's the guess input, so that's a field. I want a button. That's what I need. I need a button. So I'm jumping ahead of myself here. So, button to check guess, right? And that's going to be a button field. I'm just going to call this one button because I'm really only going to have one button. Oh, we have to do that thing again here. Vaadin. Okay, button equals new button, and it's going to contain the word check. Check your guess, right? And then I'm going to add a listener to this button. So add click listener. This is what I was looking for. So a click listener means a listener for when you're developing something on the web means that it's this process that runs in the background that is paying attention to this button in particular. And the moment something happens to that button, it runs a certain code. So what kind of code do we want? Well, here we have to trigger some kind of function. So let's see here. What does this do? Nothing right now. So event. So if I start typing, it'll say like this. This is, okay, so this is a new format. This is called a lambda expression, and this is just the format they need. So when the button is clicked, what happens? I would like it to run a method. I would like to call this method check guess. Okay, and that's a method. And you might say, but there is no method like that. Right, so let's make one. I'm going to right-click on it, show context, and it says create method. Yes, this is what I want. And down here, it just creates this method for me. Isn't that great? Gosh, using IDEs is so convenient. So I want it to create this guess check method. And what I want it to do is I want it to check if the guess inputted in this field here, in the the user types something in, they type in enter your guess, and then I want it to check if that guess is the word. Well, what do I need? I need to get the, so how would I compare those two? I have the variable for the word here, that's bunny, and their guess could be anything, and it's stored here in this input field. So how do we extract the value? Well, we can extract the value by from the guess input field. So we guessed input field dot, oh, that's convenient, get value. Okay, and we're going to pass that into this method. So I just created a method parameter here, and it actually is giving me a red because it says like, hey, cannot be applied to this. So it's like, hey, this is a string. There's no parameter. Well, add string as first parameter to method check guess. If I click this, it automatically puts the parameter, and now everything's okay. It's happy, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to rename this to guess because that's going to be useful. And the check guess method will do, guess what it's going to do? It's going to check what the guess is. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to do a for loop here because we're going to go through, let's go through the guess dot length and I++. And we're going to examine every letter and decide whether that letter is right or wrong. Okay? Let's go ahead here and say, so we're going to check the first letter. For the sake of it, I'm going to make it its own string here, right? And I'll say guess dot substring I plus 1, right? That's how we get one letter out. And we want to now compare if that letter is the same or not. Okay, so we'll say if letter dot equals, we want to compare it to that same letter in the word, if that makes sense. So it's word, that's our instance variable, substring I plus 1. Okay, so I'm actually comparing to see if those two letters are the same. Now, if those letters are the same, we have to store it somewhere. Okay, so as you can see, I'm kind of just taking a step at a time. I will, full disclosure, I have done this before, meaning I have figured out how to do this, so you don't see my raw thought process, but I am trying to simulate the process by which I came to this conclusion. So what I figured here is, well, how am I going to store it? Where am I going to store it, right? Because let's just say we're going to store it in some kind of string, okay? And I'm going to call that string, let's say, like output or yeah, let's just call it output is equal to nothing, right? And if the letter is the same letter, let's go ahead and, well, if it's the same one, then we just show the letter. So we'll say output plus equals letter, right? So if the word, the letter we have here at that particular instance and the same position in the actual answer are the same, then we know it's correct and we can show that. Otherwise, we should try to figure out if the second test we need to do is to say, well, does that letter even appear in the word as a whole? So if letter, so what we need to do is we need to use index of to see if the letter even exists. So we'll do word dot index of letter is greater than -1. So if that word appears anywhere if that letter appears in the word, then this will run. Okay, and at that point, this reminds me of a FRQ we once did, and in this case, maybe I'll borrow from them. I will put like a plus sign, right? That's kind of what they did in the FRQ. Let's use that now. Otherwise, else output plus equals, let's put a star. Like, nope, wrong. You got it wrong altogether. So there you go. All right, now that we've done this, it'll go through and do everything. Well, what do we do with it then? What we want it to do is appear somewhere on the page here, right? So if I'm gonna try to run this one now. Maybe we can just get it running correctly here. I'm gonna do a, okay, it's running again, just so you guys can see kind of what it looks like. Hopefully it's not going to take too long. It's showing this again, but this is, so what we are going to do, just to spoil it for you here, but what we are going to do is we're gonna store it in a div. So a div is an HTML tag that allows you to, that's like a division of a certain space. Let me see if this finished loading. Hasn't yet, but let me go into this here. So I kind of looked around for the different components, and I see that for a game like this, Vaadin is actually not particularly well suited. I did have a lot of trouble. I originally thought we'd make a table, but they don't have a table. They have a grid. It looks very different. It doesn't exactly do what we want it to do. So instead, what I ended up doing is looking around here at their, what is it? We're on flow, basics, here, components, and yeah, so these are their components. These are the ones that, and they have HTML elements. So if you're familiar with HTML, these are the different kind of tags that they have, and these might mean something to you. Now, a great way to kind of specify a certain section of code of text and put something in it is a div, just a division. So that's actually what we're going to use. We're going to put a division in to our code here. Let's see. Oh, okay, here it is. So the idea, of course, is that we type in bunny, and it should write, I'd like it to write right there, bunny, or show me the, the whole word, and that's great. So to make that happen, let's go ahead, come back to our code here, and say, okay, here's Wordle, and here's our div. So I'm going to say, add place for where results will be put. That, yeah. Okay, I'm going to make a div, and it's going to be just called results equals new div. Everything's an object in Java. Oh, got to add this one in too. All right, and actually I realize kind of not a mistake here, but what we should do is make this a private instance variable. And I say that because I will need to access it from that method below. And if it's just within, because this is the constructor, if it's only within the constructor, it's stuck within the constructor. But if it's a private instance variable, then I can access it this way. So if it's here, now you see it turn purple. I made it accessible to the entire class as an instance variable, and now I just instantiate it within the constructor. So this is where it lives, and that's where I'm going to store it. So what I'm going to do down here is I am going to say, okay, I have this output. It loops through the output X times, and at the end of it, I want it to go to the results, which is that div, add, and I just want it to add the output to the results. Okay? Let's see how this goes here in just a second, right? Maybe I did it right, maybe I did it wrong. Okay, it's going to run up again, load it again. Let's see how if anything changes. So I say right, the word is bunny. And, oh, where's my button? I never even have my button there. Oops. I'll tell you why. I made the button. I know why. Made the button. I never added the button. Add button. Okay, here we go. Let's try that again. Here it goes again. Running around. Runs it again. Finally. And now here's my button. And if I check it, let's see here. So the term is bunny. So I'm going to type in funny. And nothing happens. Oh, well, that's annoying. Oh, did I forget to add the div as well? Oh, yeah. I forgot to add the div as well. So good job. Good job, Mr. C. Like I say, I think it's actually really important that you watch me develop like this and make all these mistakes. Oh, that's really add place where results will be put. Okay. I think this will work better now. Okay. Let's try it. Funny. Oh, look, perfect. So what if we type in bunny? Perfect. Well, not perfect. Obviously, you can type in whatever. That's going to create an error, of course, because we're not doing a lot of things here, right? We're not making sure that the game ends. We're not making sure that they type in the right number of characters. I wonder. See, I have all these errors here. I broke my program. I wonder if it'll work again with bunny or not. Okay, it works again. If I type in nulls, that's a 5-letter thing, and it just keeps, see, oh, it shows the plus sign because there's n in it, but the n's in the wrong place. But it's not on a separate line, so that's kind of annoying. I could, at the very least, I should have it add to another line here. So let's see here. Every time, so we add the output, and then we should probably have it add another line, another division. So, oh, let's have it add another division. So maybe instead of, yeah, we could put some kind of line break, but I'll put here div, just call it div, and I'll make a new div. And then we will add output, and then we're going to add, I don't know if you want to see this here, we're going to add to the results, we're going to add div, which we're going to div add output. In fact, I'm just going to break that across a couple lines here. I'll say div dot add output. Right, and this is only so I have another line like this, and then that it gives me a line break like that. Okay, and then any other places? Maybe if you finish it, you get a little greeting message like that. That could be good. But I'm not going to incorporate it here. I'm going to let you guys figure out how to do that. So here we go. We're going to run it one more time. I'll come back here. What's it doing? Oh, okay. It's thinking again, thinking really hard here. And okay, we'll have to wait for it now. So let's try again. The word is bunny. So let's try nulls. Nulls, yeah. So the U's in the right place, and there's an N in it, but there's no L, or S in it. Okay, so if I actually tried this time to do funny, oh, okay, see, now this looks a little better. And then if I say bunny, it works. There it is. There's Wordle, a very basic, very, very basic Wordle. So the only way I could really think of improving this a little, because I played around with it a bit, was I wanted to add some kind of color, right? Colored boxes, and I couldn't really figure that out, but I typed here in color, And the first thing that came up were these idea of badges, right? They have all these other, the search, I typed in the search here. So I looked at badges, and I thought badges were kind of an interesting idea, where they're these little things like this. And then on top of it, they discuss badges here, and they show you some examples, just these little kind of status bars. And there's a point where they say badges versus buttons. And so I looked at, for example, buttons, and buttons were also an option, but they kind of didn't work for me entirely. So again, I was playing this a bit. So I decided to actually settle on these badges. So what are all the badges? I thought myself, okay, if they got it right, I'd like it to be green like this. If they got it, it was like in the right zone to be blue like this, meaning it appeared in the word, but it wasn't correct. And then if it wasn't any of it, then it could just be blah like this, very, very dull and boring. So here it says show code, and it only shows me a snippet of the code, so I have to like fully expand it here. So what I'm going to do instead is, instead of having it just be a string, I'm going to put these inside these badges like this. So let's kind of go through it here. So the first one that my code here, if I go back to my code, right, and the first instance is they have a letter, and I want that letter to contain just the letter, but I don't want it. I want it to be a badge. I want it to be green, right? This is if it's correct. Okay. So right, letter matches. So I go here. I want confirmed, and this is what they call a span. Again, it's very useful to know. And this is the standard variant, and this is the primary variant. So I want the primary variant. And it's right here, primary variance of confirmed. That's the green one. So it's this one here. I'm going to grab that little snippet of code, go back to the goodness here, and I'm going to comment this out, paste this in, and it'll be, it's going to be some kind of badge. So let's see here. Actually, I'm going to have to change it up here. I'm going to have to put the badge here. Right, and actually I still need this here. And you are going to not contain a quote. You're going to contain this character. So I'm going to put that, and I'm going to call this letter. Okay, the letter is now going to be in a span. That might not entirely make sense to you, but hear me out on it, folks. So we have this letter, and the letter is now going to look like this badge, and the badge is just going to contain a single letter, whatever that letter would be, okay? But here I just put it in a badge. I don't specify the color, and if it is the correct one, then I will specify the color as success primary, meaning that green, that full green, okay? If letter, oh, okay, I see. Maybe we should, oh, I see it wants me it needed letter. See, I have this dependency here. So actually it was kind of a bad idea to do it that way. This is what happens. You start pulling one string, and then the whole sweater comes undone. Okay, sorry, you see me backing up here. Okay, I want to maintain this, and I'm going to put this letter in here. Okay, and then I'm going to call this I'm going to call it badge. Why not? Why not just call it badge? All right, and then we are not going to concatenate it to the output anymore. Instead, we're just going to concatenate it directly to this div. Okay, but we'll see that here at the very end. All right, we'll just put gonna add this to the badge. We're going to add the badge to the div, and then we're going to, oh, see, it wants it. Maybe we should just put the badge to the div here. There, that'll work. I had to move it around there. So as we create a badge, and at the end of every loop, we add that badge to this div, and then at the end, we add the div to the result. All right, watch it again if you, or ask me a question in class if that's not clear. Okay, let's finish up the rest of these. Okay, so this is the situation where I wanted it to be blue. So I'm going to copy this over here. I'm actually going to comment this out in case I want it later. And we don't want it to be, we want it to be this blue thing. So this blue is called success. Success? No, pending. They call it pending here. Pending primary, and it's just called, oh, it's just the regular badge primary. That's the name of it. Badge, oh, okay, badge primary. It's not success. Success is green. This is just, the blue apparently is your default button. Okay, and then for if they got it wrong, we just want it to be up here, and it's called the on hold, but not the primary, not from this row, from this one. So on hold, this one here. And that's on hold, and it's just badge contrast. So badge contrast. Okay, and then it adds it that way. Okay, let's see how this works. Did I do it right? Okay, it's working, it's thinking, it's processing. I'm going to close out the old ones. We don't need to see those. It might have been nice to see them compare. Okay. Ready. So, right, I think I started with nulls. Check. Oh, okay. So you could see here. I see this is not bad. This isn't bad, I think. U is in the correct spot. N is in the word, but is in the wrong place, and then these don't exist. So if I type in funny, all of these are in the right spot, but that one is wrong. And if I type in bunny, then boom, it's there. So that's really what I wanted to show you for this framework. A couple things to develop this further, okay? This is just like a tutorial where you can kind of see this is how this works. If you, in fact, wanted to make Wordle your project and I just stole your thunder, no, don't worry. There's still so much more here, right? It needs to come up with a message of like, hey, you did it, and then stop, right? Because if I just keep clicking, it's just going to keep going, right? Wordle, I think you have like 5 turns or 6. That's another thing that you need to keep track of. If the person is not able to get it within the allotted number of turns, the game needs to end. And of course, the word bank. Where do you want to get the words from? There are tons of free online APIs that could just pull the word, a random 5-letter word from the internet, and it would be different every time. You wouldn't even know what it was. So those are all possible paths of exploration that would make this game actually functioning like Wordle. Purpose of this is just kind of a little, proof of concept. You can use Vaadin to build a little Wordle app like this. Okay, so I hope you found that helpful. I'm going to make another tutorial for Java FX, and so enjoy that one too.